Lake Victoria, the source of the River Nile. This lake is so big, ferries cross it. Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda share these waters. The Luo live on Kenya's side of the lake. The Luo are fish eaters, not meat eaters. Boys play with toy fishing boats, not cars. So many fishermen have come here from across the country to cash in on the Nile perch export trade. It's called the Nile perch gold rush. Exports of Nile perch worth £70 million went to Europe in 2005 under special EU free trade rules. Consumers in the West pay £10 a kilo for Nile perch. Nearly half of the population here live off 50p or less a day. They can't compete. Men leave early in the morning to catch Nile perch. The women wait on dry land to sell the fish. This is Takahiri Island. People live in tin shacks built in haste to house the growing population who came here in search of Nile perch. This is Winnie Ogama. She closed her shop to take care of her dying husband. After his death, she couldn't afford to reopen it. Now, she buys Nile perch from fishermen to sell to the export factories. Here she's watching one of her catches coming in. This is a good catch for Winnie, 95 kilos. The fish is off to the mainland where trucks will take it to the export factories. Winnie paid £65 for the catch and earns a small fee. In a European supermarket freezer, it would fetch £950. Winnie still has to pay fishermen another price for bringing her fish, sex for fish. It's known here as jaboya, meaning an intimate client relationship with a fisherman.
Oh, you're welcome.
Winnie wants to talk about jaboya. Most women here don't. First, she needs her brother's approval, the head of the family. Winnie talks about her experience with one fisherman in particular.
After I'd rejected him, he started not to bring for me fish. And it ended that he was trying to stop other fishermen too from bringing me fish, saying that Winnie, she's a bad girl, she doesn't understand, why do you give her fish? So it went like that. So I sat down and said, this is where I'm earning right now, my living. What do I do? So I decided to be with one. It's not fair because this pressure they put on you to be jaboya, somebody who had respected you may one time would just underrate you because you are being used by the fishermen because of their money.
Jaboya made these women stop selling fish. Helped by the Kageno Trust on Rasinga Island, they now make crafts.
They are doing that with different partners so that they can get more fish. You don't get the fish if you refuse. Even if you have money, you don't get the fish. It picks you from the line, measures you your share, so that you can go with him. If tired, he wants to go and sleep. When you are back at home, you are not in a good relationship with the husband. Why you have a friendship with another? Because he has already found out secretively that you are having an affair. So it was creating a lot of problem at home too.
Some fishermen rent homes here. After a night on the lake fishing, they must mend the nets before sleeping. One has given in already. I asked them if they ever wanted more than money for fish.
We are just busy with their money. Nowadays, we are not busy with them personally for special favors or whatever. I have my family and whatever, so I cannot depend on other women apart from the one in the house. Because this is a small village, it will just be known. I do it far away from here, not within
this area.
The Nile perch gold rush really took off after 1990 when it became free to export Nile perch to Europe. Since then, the number of fishermen has almost doubled from 25,000 to 45,000.
It is true. Most fishermen are nowadays looking for the Nile perch because it has actually very good prices attached to it. The market is readily available for the Nile perch. So you find that most of this jaboya move from area to area looking for the Nile perch. And when he moves from this area to another area and is sexually involved, actually unprotected and sexually involved with the women and even the girls at the particular beaches that he moves to, he keeps spreading the virus from one beach to another, from one person to another, and he also gets reinfected. So the increase in, demand for the Nile perch also comes with the increase in the spread of HIV/AIDS in relation to the jaboya. So most of the fishermen 10 years ago were stationed at the particular beaches where they operated. So they didn't move up and down in search of more fish like they do nowadays.
According to UN figures, AIDS has dropped from 10% to 7% across Kenya. In this region, in Nyanza province, it rose to 15%. Here, in Suba district, it's a staggering 42%. The UN blames jaboya for the high rate of AIDS here. 1/3 of the children at this school are orphaned. The West pays for all of the AIDS treatment in Kenya.
Yeah, there are very many young girls who are involved in this, even as young as 12 years old. Most of them are orphans, and it's child-headed households. So they have to take care of their siblings. So that definitely leaves them with no option.
We asked these women if jaboya gave them health problems.
STD, AIDS, and so many others.
Winnie has AIDS. She won't admit it on camera. This photo is her before she was infected. She believes jaboya gave her AIDS. There's only one way to explain what's going on here. It's like being caught on this roundabout in Kisumu. More fishermen catch more Nile perch. There's more jaboya and more AIDS. This means more widows and more orphans. So, more jaboya and more AIDS. It gets even more complicated. Nile perch is the main source of protein in these parts. Protein deficiency is so bad here that UNICEF distributed protein tablets to children. Dr Richard Abila, Deputy Director of the Kenyan Marine and Fisheries Research Institute, is a civil servant who dares to criticise the export trade.
But again, we are in a situation where, the protein deficiency is quite a problem. And there are many people who actually don't, they barely have any proteins to eat. So if there was Nile perch, definitely they would eat it. Our governments also, of course, are in dire need of foreign exchange, which they get from fish exports.
There are other types of fish to buy here. Tilapia is the favourite. The scenes at this market in Homa Bay show there just isn't enough to go around. Locals can buy Nile perch from the factories, but just the skeleton. The Kenyan government has always argued that people here don't like the taste of Nile perch, so it was all right to export it. The trade in Nile perch skeletons proves otherwise. Locals do like it, what they can get of it. The EU is spending £20 million to develop the Nile perch export trade. Talks are now taking place to revise the free trade agreement. They're led by Peter Mandelson, the EU Commissioner for External Trade. The fact that Nile perch is needed here has not been raised by the Kenyan government. It's staying quiet too about the AIDS issue. People here won't have a say in where their fish goes. Yet it's their dinner on the negotiating table. Joffrey is Winnie's nephew. She takes care of him since his parents died. Joffrey says he needs Nile perch for protein. He needs Winnie too, but AIDS will take her.